Greetings. I am Nanya Shaabu Eil. I am an indigenous, autochthonous, flesh and blood, male of palm monkey descent. I am not a fictitious entity, a corporate construct. I am not black and in commerce for business purposes. I am white, American Indian, and my business name is atsikhataym. That's my name in business. This is my SF-181 experience. I learned about the SF-181 through Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamassee-Moors last year, over a year ago. Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil is the only being on the planet who is teaching this process, the only being on the planet that is allowing those who are accepting his guidance to achieve a certificate of achievement by going through the indigenous standing process. The SF-181 is a form that Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil shares and teaches, also helps us overstand, helps us fill it out, helps us file it, answers any questions pertaining to it, shares more in-depth detail of the purpose and reason for filing, and the reason, and most importantly, why. And I'm going to share why. The reason why is that Black and African American has no status and has no standing at law. It's no secret that those who self-identify with Black and identify others as Black or African American see that they have bared the burdens of society and are, let's face it, tortured, murdered, raped. Many atrocities occurred to the quote-unquote Black race, African race, and there's no liability. There's no liability held on the oppressor's part or the tyrant's part, and this type of treatment just continues. And the reason why is because we are incorrectly identifying ourselves, not identifying ourselves as human or a person, a people of the planet. We're identifying as property, which is dead property at that. And that's what Black actually defines. So let me not get off track, but we are identifying incorrectly. Black African American has no status and has no standing at law. All right, so this is the reason for the purpose for filing this SF-181, filling it out and filing it correctly. Now I'm going to read the Privacy Act. This is, again, the standard form 181, Ethnicity and Race Identification form. The Piracy Act, I'm going to read the first paragraph. Ethnicity and race information is requested under the authority of 42 United States Code, Section 2000E-16, and is in compliance with the Office of Management and Budget's 1997 revisions to the standards for the classification of federal data on race and ethnicity. Providing this information is voluntary and has no impact on your employment status, but in the instance of missing information, your employing agency will attempt to identify your race and ethnicity by visual observation. That means by looking at you. That means your employer will attempt to identify you by looking at you. And the only way to identify an individual is by looking at the color of their skin, right? Are they dark or are they pale? So let's go down further to the bottom. Now at the bottom of the SF-181 form, it gives the categories and the definitions. So I'm going to read the category and the definition. First one, American Indian or Alaska Native, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintain tribal affiliations or community attachments. Next one, Asian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. I'm going to skip Black or African American, and we'll come back up to it. Let's go to the next one. Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. A person having origins in any of the original people of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or other Pacific Islander. Next is white, a person having origins in any of the original people of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. Right now, I'm going to go back to Black or African American, a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. Well, doesn't that's it right there. Boom, boom, trigger, red flag. Every other category except for Black and African American describes a person having origins in any of the original peoples, right? Any original peoples. But Black African American, it says Black racial groups. Person having origin in any of the Black racial groups, Black racial groups of cows, Black racial groups of monkeys, of bananas, of Black racial groups of rhinoceros, Black racial groups of, you know what I mean? It's not a person, it's not an animal, it's not a nothing. It doesn't exist. Black racial groups don't exist. It has a Black racial group of a group of what? What's a group of? You can have a group, right? But it has to be a group of something. It's not a group of original peoples. So that's just something to take note of. And then also right here, which is utilized by the United States government and also by the United States Department of Education. And this is the definitions for race and ethnicity. Something very important that I wanted to share. Right here, right under race and ethnicity, it reads categories developed in 1997 by the Office of Management and Budget that are used to describe groups to which individuals belong, identify with, or belong in the eyes of the community. The categories do not denote scientific definition of anthropological origin. Anthropological origin. They do not denote scientific definition of anthropological origin. Anthropology has to do with the history of man, right? Original man. It doesn't have anything to do with the history of original man. I think there's something going on. A person having origins in the original peoples, a person having origins in the original peoples, a person having origins in the original peoples, a person having origins in the original peoples. Black racial groups of no bodies, no peoples, no beings, no nothing. So you understand why Black has no status or standing, anywhere on the planet in the matrix because it doesn't exist. There's no original peoples, even though it tells you that it doesn't denote denote scientific definitions, right? They're not scientific definitions of anthropological origins. Except for all of them are original peoples, and that has to do with an anthropology, what origin they're from. Share something with you right quick. Check this out.
The second principle put down by Chief Justice Taney in the Dred Scott decision was that blacks cannot be citizens of the United States. In a sense, Dred Scott can't even sue because he's not an American. This is one of the best examples of this notion of blacks as aliens. Even though he's born here and everything, he is not an American. The American family, as Taney says, is for white people. And in the most famous sentence in that decision, he says, a black man has no rights which a white man is bound to respect. Now, he's not saying blacks can be killed with impunity. What he's saying is, legally speaking, they are not part of the body politic. They are not part of the we the people that created the Constitution, and therefore they're just outside of the system. So they don't have any rights under the Constitution.
Right, they don't have any rights. Did you hear that? Black African American have no rights. So I have one more clip I'd like to show you right here. So this is the findings of the orders after findings, the court orders of that case, of the Dred Scott case. And right here in the black parentheses, you'll see that it says persons of African descent cannot be nor were ever intended to be citizens under the United States Constitution. Plaintiff is without standing. without standing, no standing at law. Even though it says standing to file, you can't file because he has no standing, no status at law. Black African American are, in fact, white. That is the correct way to identify. Now I'm trying to get back so I can show you one more thing. Okay, there we go. Now, on the form, it says a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe. The people of Europe, the first original European, here's what they look like. All right, the people that call me and call you, call us black, call this black, identify themselves to be white, right? Because it's a personal choice to self-identify. But the first modern Britons had dark to black skin, Cheddarman DNA analysis reveals. So this is what the first Europeans look like. But the facts of the matter is, if you read down here, it'll tell you that people of white British ancestry alive today are descendants of this population. So those who identify as white, and it says right there, people of white, because they self-identify as white, and they descend from what they tell you and me is black, but they self-identify as white on the SF-181 because white is power and black has no status or standing at law. In fact, what is a power outage? It is a blackout, right? So, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa, those who self-identify with black or African American are either white or American Indian. And if you take a closer look, open up your mind, you'll see that those who identify as white today, who are actually pale skin, blue-eyed, blonde hair, do not fit any of the descriptions here. Possibly black racial group of, we don't know, because it doesn't identify, original peoples. There's no original peoples, and we know that lepers are not original peoples. So that might be their box to mark, which would be rightfully so when you think about it, because they don't have any status or standing in commerce above higher ranking than the original indigenous beings that come from the soil of the planet. So this is my SF-181 experience. More is shared through this contact information. Chief Nanya Shaabu Eil of the At-sik-hata Nation of Yamassee-Moors. Reach in to Saw, email Saw, give her a call, ask to be put on the webinar to help assist with the ending of genocide, human trafficking, crimes against humanity. Abud Gador, Abud Gador, Abud Gador, white power, white power, white power. I'm going to let this play for a little bit longer.